This is the Fox 5 News Block.
We are following two major stories. Mayor Eric Adams in a Lower Manhattan courtroom as a hearing is taking place to determine the next steps in his corruption case. And major breaking news to report: President Trump now saying congestion pricing is dead. Good evening, afternoon, everyone. I'm Antoine Lewis. Welcome to the News Block. The Transportation Department pulling its approval for the MTA's congestion pricing plan. A lot to unpack here. Linda Schmidt in the newsroom with more on the reasons why and what the MTA is now saying. Hi, Linda.
Yeah, good afternoon to you there, Antoine. Some breaking and big news going on here today. And this should come as no surprise, really, to anyone. When he was campaigning, then candidate Donald Trump threatened to kill congestion pricing. And now he continued to repeat that threat. And then today he has done it, posting on social media. Take a look at this, that he has saved New York City and that, quote, long live the king. The MTA already fighting back, though, filing papers in federal court to stop the Trump administration from ending congestion pricing. Reaction to this, as you can imagine, has been fast and furious today. Governor Hochul and the MTA are holding a news conference at 3:30. That's about 30 minutes from now. The governor issuing a statement today saying the country is not, quote, ruled by a king, and we will, quote, see you in court. Now, in New Jersey, the reaction is much different. Governor Murphy is thanking President Trump for intervening and putting a stop to congestion pricing. Now, the state there has multiple lawsuits fighting its implementation. And I spoke with an expert just a short time ago who was telling me that it is not clear if the Trump administration even has the authority to kill congestion pricing, and that this will likely play out in the courts for weeks or even months. Now, once again, the governor and the MTA are holding a news conference at 3:30, a half an hour from now, to address what happens next. Antoine, back upstairs to you.
A lot going on, Linda. Thank you so much. Also developing at this hour, New York City Mayor Eric Adams in federal court for a hearing being closely watched both here and in the nation's capital. Let's get out to Lower Manhattan, where Arthur Chien is standing by with the very latest. Hi, Artie.
Hi, Antoine. How are you? This is already underway. All eyes are on what happens in this courthouse, and that includes the eyes of our Governor Kathy Hochul, who many are asking to remove Adams from office. Let's show you the scene out here just over an hour ago when Mayor Adams showed up. He rolled up in a number of SUVs, out of which his entourage emerged. Now, dozens of protesters, you can hear them, were chanting things like Adams has to go, and that's one of the nicer things that they chanted as he went inside. He walked up the steps and into the courthouse. As for what's been happening inside, federal judge Dale E. Ho is hearing arguments from both parties on the record on why they've asked to drop the prosecution of Mayor Eric Adams on those corruption charges. Judge Ho took this extraordinary step after the acting U.S. attorney in New York, Danielle Sassoon, wrote a letter to Washington refusing to carry out the order to drop the charges. She then resigned, calling the request a quid pro quo, saying that Adams was getting the charges dropped in exchange for carrying out directives of the Trump White House. Now, after she quit, 6 other federal prosecutors, most of them in New York, one in D.C., also quit rather than carry out that order. Adams continues to deny there has been a quid pro quo with the Trump administration. He also denies any wrongdoing, but it is fair to say that his tenure as mayor of New York City is in tremendous turmoil, made worse on Monday when 4 of his top deputies, including his number 2, all put in for their resignations, saying that they could no longer be true to the oaths they took to serve the people of New York and to serve their families. That's when the calls got more intense for Governor Hochul to step in. Again, this hearing began at 2 o'clock. Both sides are expected to testify. Now, those who are familiar with Judge Ho tell us that they would be incredibly surprised if he ruled from the bench today. They say more likely is he will take everything on the record, put it into consideration, and then render a decision, a process that could take days, if not weeks, we're told. We're live at the federal courthouse in Foley Square. Arthur Chien, Fox 5 News. Antoine, back to you.
All right, Arthur, thank you. We'll take it. And for the latest on Mayor Adams and congestion pricing, stay up to date on the Fox local app on your phone. Now, you'll be able to watch all of our live newscasts as well as breaking news from anywhere you are. To Brooklyn now, where an investigation is underway after a morning fire inside a church in Bushwick. Here's what we know. The FDNY says the call came in around 10:40 this morning for a fire on Halsey Street between Central and Wilson Avenues. The fire was on the first floor. Around 100 firefighters were called to the scene. We spoke to someone who lives in the area and is familiar with the church.
Oh my God, like again, because it's been on fire before, but it's not like this. It's been like, there was a fire before, but it wasn't like the whole building caught on fire. So that's why we came out of the building, because what if it came to this side?
No reports of any injuries at this time, and the cause of the fire is under investigation. Corrections officials are investigating another death at Rikers Island. The DOC says that an inmate was found early this morning at an unspecified facility at Rikers. The person was pronounced dead on scene, but no word at this time on the cause of death. Officials say they have notified the federal monitor overseeing Rikers. This marks the 34th death at the facility since the Adams administration took office. A boil water advisory is still in effect for Hoboken as crews continue repairing a water main break. The emergency repairs are happening near 18th Street and Jersey Avenue along the border of Hoboken and Jersey City. Officials say residents and businesses in Hoboken should boil their water for at least a minute. They also are warning that low to no water pressure is possible at peak demand, which is typically sometime in the morning. Now, at this time, Jersey City is not under a boil water advisory. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy was at a school in Woodbury this morning promoting his phone-free schools initiative. Murphy announced he's planning on setting aside millions of dollars for schools to spend on pouches, lockers, and other storage spaces. During his recent State of the State, he proposed restricting or even banning phones in schools. Students were on hand for the announcement, many of them saying that they feel more productive and even have better social skills when they are not on their phones.
We communicate more, we talk, and like before, I didn't have the best grades, but now this year, when I'm putting my full self, me, in there, I have principal's list, honor roll, and it just gives me a free mind through the day.
Governor Murphy says details of the plan to fund the removal of phones at schools will be announced next week. Also developing right now, Donald Trump calls Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator. Now, this follows Zelensky telling the Trump administration to be more truthful. On Tuesday, Trump said Ukraine should have never started the war with Russia and that a deal could have been made to prevent it. Mr. Trump said this despite the fact that Russia started the war by invading Ukraine. Zelensky says Trump is living in what he called a Russian-made disinformation space. Today, Zelensky is set to meet with the U.S. envoy. More federal cuts appear to be on the way. The AP is now reporting that thousands of IRS employees will soon be laid off. Now, this is taking place in the middle of the tax season, raising concerns. These cuts will cause delays in the processing of tax returns. So far, nearly 5,000 employees of the Department of Health and Human Services have been laid off, that bulk of that coming from the CDC. Pope Francis is healing following a diagnosis of bilateral pneumonia yesterday. The Vatican updating us by telling us that the pontiff sleeping peacefully. This morning he got up and had breakfast. His respiratory infection also involves bronchitis, now which requires the use of cortisone antibiotic treatments. The Vatican now saying the Pope is in good spirits and is grateful for the prayers for his recovery. A new exhibit opens today at the 9/11 Museum featuring artwork from children after the terror attack. The new display focuses on how drawing became a way for children to make sense of the unimaginable. Fox 5's Meredith Gorman has more.
A new exhibition is on display at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, and it features art made by school-age children in the aftermath of the terror attacks on September 11th, 2001.
Kids seized agency in a way. You know, they could do something. They could write a note of thanks. They could draw. They could respond and hope to get their messages to the intended recipients. And remarkably, many of them did find their way actually to Ground Zero.
Over 45 works of art are on display, with the museum's chief curator saying that about half were made by kids who attended local schools in Lower Manhattan at the time of the terrorist attacks, and the other half made by children from around the U.S. and around the world. The artists' ages range from preschoolers to high schoolers, and the settings where they created this art varies greatly, with some pieces being made in schools or neighborhood associations, some coming from first aid groups that were sent to first responders, while others made by children who suffered a loss in 9/11.
In some cases, the art was made in bereavement programs for children. Unfortunately, some of the 10,000 children who would go home from school on Tuesday, September 11th, and find out that a parent was not coming home.
The backstories behind these pieces of art are touching, and the exhibition also serves as a way to introduce the new generation of peers who were born after 9/11 to the historic event that we continue to experience effects from today. Now, this exhibition opens to the public on Wednesday, February 19th, and will run for 18 months, with art being swapped out after 9 months, so you can come through and look at the art twice. Reporting from Lower Manhattan, I'm Meredith Gorman, Fox 5 News.
Right, Meredith, thank you. Let's take a live look outside where we see what is a very chilly day. Liv, good grief. Was it not cold coming in? You got to tell me now.
Oh, it was so, I looked like I was in the witness protection program. Like not a single bit of skin was showing as I was getting to work. I don't even think they recognized me when I walked in. It's a little bit better, okay? We're still below freezing. Most of us are in the 20s, New York, Long Island, White Plains. But some of us are in the 30s, Hartford, Poughkeepsie, and Newark, 32 degrees right now. That wind chill still making a bit of a difference, but this is an improvement for the past couple of days. We feel like the 20s and the teens. We started the day feeling like single digits and negative. So again, improving. We just need a little bit warmer. This is a lot better than what we had the past couple of days where we saw a 24-hour change of -15, -10. So any warm up is definitely welcomed. Wind speeds are also slowing down a bit, between about 10-20 miles an hour right now, which is an improvement. No wind gusts right now in New York City. Still some strong wind gusts down the shore in New Jersey. Monticello has some wind gusts, but you can see things have definitely died down. Now, most of the day has been pretty nice and sunny. We still have a few hours of sunshine left, but this system that we've been talking about all week is making itself closer to us. So you'll see more cloud cover roll through as we get into the evening hours. And then here's what the models are showing right now. This crossed through Kentucky, parts of Pennsylvania, left a lot of snow in Missouri as well, and then it's brought some storms further south like the Carolinas and Georgia. Now the snow is going through the mid-Atlantic, hitting D.C. And for us, the latest model runs look like Thursday afternoon we could see a little bit of a light dusting. Most of Thursday morning looks pretty clear, but see on our futurecast at about 3 o'clock showing a little bit of snow for Long Island and New York City, crossing up into portions of the lower Hudson Valley and Connecticut. But it really would be a little bit of snow. I mean, max ½ an inch, maybe a little more for places like White Plains and out on Long Island, but again, just a dusting. In terms of wind chill, we are in for another chilly night and morning ahead of us, another day where we have single digits to wake up with. And I wish we could say we're warming up a lot over the next couple of days, but tomorrow will still be cool in the 20s and then into the 30s for the weekend.
All right, and good luck with that witness protection thing you mentioned. All right, Liv Johnson, thank you, dear. That's our news block for now, everybody. I'm Antoine Lewis. Thank you for joining us here. Tune into the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5 and right here on the Fox local app for all of today's news as it develops. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Stay safe, stay warm.